All right, coming to you live from OpenStack Summit in Austin. I'm here with Dustin Kirkland of Canonical. Dustin, how are you?
Good, thanks, Barton.
So you just did a great talk all about LXD and a bunch of other stuff. So let's say I don't know much or anything at all about LXD. What is it? How is it different from LXC and containers and virtual machines, etc.?
Right, so I assume you know what VMware is, or Zen, or KVM, right? It's a
Yep.
virtual machine, a hypervisor to an extent. Perhaps you know what Docker is, a container solution for applications. LXD fits kind of right in the middle of all of those. LXD itself acts like a hypervisor, very much like VMware or KVM. You're able to carve up a physical machine or a virtual machine. You can allocate CPU, memory, disk, I/O, network bandwidth to a LXD container. But it is fundamentally a container at its heart, so a little bit more like Docker in that sense. Now, it differs from Docker in that in Docker you run one and only one, exactly one process inside of that Docker container. With LXD, you actually boot a system. It looks like a machine when it runs, and so it runs sbin init as its first process, as PID 1. And then that process is able to watch and fork other processes so that you can have an rsyslog server and an SSH server and everything that a normal Linux application would expect to find on a system.
Cool. And so, buzzword, microservices. Where would they fit? Would they fit inside a Docker container, which would fit inside LXD, or is there another way?
So microservices is a really important discipline right now that I think a lot of extremely large-scale enterprises are using. At the smaller scale, it's a little bit harder and more expensive to take advantage of, but we're seeing good tooling building itself around microservices. The concept behind a microservice is take every aspect of your infrastructure and chop it up into one single individual service and put those into containers and then network them together. And for that, Docker does fit that model quite nicely. We're delighted to work with Docker, the institution, Docker the technology. Canonical and Docker are tight partners, and we're happy to refer our customers interested in microservices to Docker, run that Docker on Ubuntu, and run Ubuntu inside of that Docker. Now, LXD solves a bit of a different problem, and that's why we see LXD and Docker as being very complementary. LXD is more of an infrastructure as a service technology. So when you take a cloud and when you use a cloud to take hardware and turn that hardware into an infrastructure as a service cloud, LXD fits that model quite nicely. It's a better replacement for say KVM or Zen or VMware when your workloads are in fact Linux on Linux workloads.
Cool. And then just to conclude with LXD, where do you see it going in the near distant future?
So Ubuntu 16.04, which just released last week, it ships with LXD installed by default on every server. So basically every Ubuntu 16.04 server is 100 Ubuntu 16.04 servers. It's really quite a beautiful model. I think we're already seeing some really interesting solutions and applications developing around LXD, and I think we're really just at the start of a very interesting race.
Awesome. Dustin Kirkland, thanks so much.
Thanks.